4x4, replacing a 12-year-old vehicle. The F-550 with a crane on the back, and we got a full explanation what that was during budget season. And the Ford Escape for the engineering department. We've gone to the Escape for all those who aren't doing big utility work. They're great cars, and as you can see, they're $24,000 cash. And the hook truck, which will save us wear and tear on our trash trucks, is we're going to be able to dump the trash into these long dumpsters, if you will. The hook truck then goes up to the incinerator and saving a lot of mileage for our trash vehicles. So that's what it is. It's $1.1 million of capital spending that was all baked into our budget during the season. That's what we have. Are there any questions?
I'll put a resolution out,
Okay.
and then this will get repeated when we actually do the town meeting call a little later on.
Okay.
But resolved that a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the Town of East Lyme, Connecticut authorizing the execution and delivery of an equipment lease purchase agreement and schedules thereto for the acquisition, purchase, financing, and leasing of certain equipment, a copy of which is attached hereto and is hereby adopted and recommended for approval by the Board of Finance and the legal voters of the town at town meeting."
Second.
Motion and second. Would there be any questions or comments? Justin's here to answer any specifics, and the Board of Ed is here as well to defend their capital requests as they did during the budget season.
Because we already went through this
We've been
before
through
with
this.
the budget season, I do not have any questions.
Right. We've been through this, and we've spent extensive time on the capital plan as well. But we appreciate your backup tonight. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Thank you.
And just real quick, I apologize for my phone ringing there. Several of you know my daughter-in-law is due any minute, so the phone is sitting here in case. So, thank you.
So was that
No,
a
it was
baby call?
not. No, that was not the baby call, so,
Okay.
but
So we can continue then?
we can, well, yes.
Okay, good. Did you do the call, the meeting?
No, we have to do a couple other things before we do the actual call for the town meeting.
Okay, because it says schedule town.
We have to do the
I got it.
the 18,000 for the Board of Ed vehicle. This is the 18,000, because that's in the call for the,
Right.
that's in the call under,
So that's G.
The
Yeah.
next item is a special appropriation of the health insurance. Anna, you want to help me out with this? Maybe you can run through this? Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Bill.
So we all know that we have been struggling with our health insurance fund. We were self-insured through June 30th of 2018. This July 1st, both the town and the Board of Education, we transitioned to the state of Connecticut plan. So we're on the state plan, and so for all intents and purposes for us, we're fully insured now. However, we did have some financial struggles with the fund last fiscal year, and so we need additional funding to meet, the claims overrun for last year, as well as the incurred but not reported as of June 30th. So far to date, we've had about $224,000 in incurred but not reported claims, meaning there were claims that happened on or before June 30th, but we have to pay them. We've had to pay them since July 1st. So there are several components that we've looked at to come up with some of the additional funding. This evening, we're going to ask you to do a motion for some remaining encumbered funds that the Board of Education had as of 6/30/18. It's a little over $74,000. That we'll ask you to act on this evening. At subsequent meetings, we will discuss, as you know, in our current budget, the 19-20 budget, the education cost sharing, the amount that we projected is actually less than the amount that we're at this point in time slated to get from the state. It's a little over $492,000. And then in addition, for 6/30/19, In the last meeting that we had with the Board of Education, I believe it was about 105,000. Yeah, the Board of Ed is expecting to have an additional 105,000 from the 6/30/19 budget to, transfer into the health fund once they, all of their encumbrances settle out. And then the last piece is in the 18-19 year, the tuitions that we get primarily from Salem students, the amount that was projected, we're expecting to have an excess there. So once we get a little bit more settled into all the operating results of 6/30/19, we would come before you again to deal with all of the items that I've just mentioned.
Questions for Anna? Obviously, incurred but not reported are trailing claims. Someone went to the doctor in May and June, the paperwork hasn't cleared the system yet. We still owe that money, even though we've changed health insurance carriers as of July 1st. So we're paying premiums to our new insurer. Meanwhile, because we're self-insured, we have all these claims coming in. We made a monumental change to our health insurance coverage as of July 1st, going to the state plan. It's going to take a year to flush out, get rid of the self-insured stuff, the IBNR, and also settle down on who's going to take the plan and who's not, especially at the Board of Ed level. But this is going to be very good for planning at the finance level, at the town level. This big shot in the dark, hey, let's move our premiums up 20%, and that should be enough, and then finding out it should have been 30% is it's had a snowball effect over the last 4 or 5 years. So we anticipate, though not less expensive, but certainly better opportunity to plan for our expenses, because it's been a nightmare. So you have a motion to move some money around?
You want to say something, Mark?
We can put the motion on the table, Don.
Oh.
Okay.
Move to authorize the non-expended Board of Education encumbrances in the amount of $74,503.04 remaining from fiscal year ended 6/30/2018 to the Health Insurance Fund and forward to the Board of Finance for approval.
Second.
Okay. And you had a question, Mark?
So the costs here were because we had additional claims during the year and also some at the end that are still coming in? This is our best projection right now?
Best projection right now. We'll have IBNR claims coming in for the next 4 to 6 months.
Okay.
They will trail off. Obviously, we got a heavy hit right at the beginning. We expect them to trail off pretty significantly soon. But we would anticipate total would be another $1 million.
So the estimate that I came up with for the IBNR for 6/30/19 is $891,465. So
That's in there, yep.
yeah. So what I used prior experience and kind of came up with what I thought to be a reasonable number. One of the biggest struggles that we've had, like for example, our total claims for last year were a little over $8.4 million, and we had 28 large claims, and the 28 large claims represented, $4.2 million. That's the gross amount. A large claim is any claim once it's over $62,500. We consider it a large claim, and we have individual stop loss. We had individual stop loss insurance of $125,000. So once the claim reaches $125,000, we're no longer responsible for the excess over $125,000. Of the 28 large claims we had last fiscal year, 13 of them were over $125,000. So it's just the real drain on our plan has been the magnitude of large claims that we've experienced. When we started having the issues with our health plan, it was when we went from, I believe we were having like 10, 12 large claims, and that number went to 19, then it went to 24, then last year it went to 28. So it's the way that the large claims grew. And then in addition to that, there's we had a large number in our group that had claims like, say, between 25,000 and 50,000, and that's also a large drain on the fund. And those kind of go a little bit less under the radar, but it's large claims that have really caused our fund to have problems.
So the 891,000, that's your estimate, which will include the next 4 to 6 months
Correct,
of
yeah.
trickle claims. Is that, do we have that budgeted? I see you have some money in here that we're gonna move some money around potentially, right?
Right.
Some savings.
Well,
But is that unbudgeted?
Some of it is. Some of it is unbudgeted. Some of it is budgeted.
About how much is unbudgeted, do you believe?
A good portion of it, because unfortunately, as I understand it, the Board of Education did not include any funding in this year's budget for their portion of the IBNR, and that's going to be the largest portion of it. And so that's part of the reason why we have the, looking to increase the budget this year with the additional ECS money that we've received, as well as the additional tuition dollars to come up with what we're going to need.
So, are we, somewhere there's gonna be hard decisions coming up, or
Well,
that's a big chunk of
The
money?
Board of Ed's gonna be working through that. I mean, there is the $492,000 of extra ECS money, educational cost sharing money, that did make it through the legislature into the budget. However, because the tolls weren't voted on, Lamont has said all bets are off, and some of these town aid items could be back in play. I'm a little concerned about that, and you guys got to know that. I'm very concerned about that because that budget that was passed does not balance. They got to come up with some revenue somewhere. It didn't balance. Never mind the tolls. It didn't balance.
Right.
For what I've been told by our local legislature, I'm not in the business up there, but that is in play. But if we could bank on that 492, it gets them out of a little bit of a hole. Generally, ECS money goes to the general fund. It isn't a revenue source for the Board of Ed to spend, but I think it would behoove the town and in the best interest of the taxpayers to use that money toward their deficit. But they're going to have they have a little bit of a hole, and we're between tuition money. Anna spelled it out, between tuition money that's been left over at the end of their year, some encumbered money, unencumbered money, however, and a few other items. We might be we're going to come up with some of it. I think they're going to get very close.
Looks
to
like
that
under
number.
300, not including the education cost share. Is that right? You have 76, 74,000. You think those are savings?
Where are you?
Right here.
Okay, on the front
Yeah.
page.
We've identified an additional 136,688 in the
Yeah.
town portion of the general fund we could allocate toward health insurance fund.
Yeah,
Right.
we've gone ahead and froze budgets early in the year to cover our deficit. Our deficit is much smaller. They have a huge payroll and a huge expense. I mean, they're 80% of the health insurance.
They're the largest portion.
It's a monster.
Yeah.
But they know what the deficit is. If they got to find some other cuts in their budgeting to move things around, they know what the thing is going to be. None of us know what IBNR is. We're projecting right now, but they know that they're obligated to their portion of it. We've been in communication, and we're trying to work that out. So
When is the IBNR? When's the final cutoff for claims?
So,
Or
that's
is
a good
there?
question. Well, it's interesting because sometimes what happens is when a claim gets submitted for whatever reason, it may not get paid right away because there's things that have to get followed through on before the provider before Aetna will actually pay the provider. So sometimes it takes months. I've seen some claims take up to 6 months to get resolved. So it's gonna be one of those.
So hopefully by the end of the year we'll.
I would expect so.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm just the general fund that's concerning. Right now, money's coming out of the general fund. We hope to replenish it. Is the goal.
it will be replenished.
Okay.
through revenue sources or, budget cuts if we need to.
Okay, yeah, because we already know we need to keep that
A debt
balance
is a
up
debt.
to pay bills.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good questions, Mark. Any other questions, concerns? This is not the last time we're going to be hearing about health insurance.
No.
This is the beginning of the end to our self-insurance and moving along to something more manageable. We have a motion on the table, correct?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstain? Departmental transfers is 2F. That's $34,144.81. I think you have a list of them. This is typical end of the year items. Again, we're not spending money that wasn't budgeted and all that, but when we get down to these very, very, very tight budgets that we have now, we find that, well, we have money over here and we need money over here, so we move the money around at the end of the year with your permission. You've had a chance to look them over. It's your pleasure.
I'll move to ratify departmental transfers in the amount of $34,144.81 processed for fiscal year end June 30, 2019, and to forward to the Board of Finance for approval.
Second.
Motion and seconded, a couple times. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Terrific. Special appropriation of the Board of Ed vehicle from CNRE, $18,000. Dr. Hagan, you here tonight? Are you Mariana Stevens? Our pleasure. Our finance director on the other side of the town, Mariana Stevens.
Mariana Stevens, Director of Finance.
We don't get you on the mic that much,
No.
so it's nice to see you.
Nice to see you guys too. Nice to be here.
And I know you have various needs for transportation. It's not all about school buses. Tell us
Right.
about this need.
So we, currently, the Board of Ed is the mail courier for both our mail, inter-office mail, as well as the town. We currently are using a 1999 van. It's 20 years old. It's got about 84,000 miles. It needs some extensive work. Doesn't seem logical to sink money into that van. It wouldn't, and we also use students, our AIM program, Abilities in Motion, to work with the mail and get them some experience working. So we really can't put a student any longer in a van of that nature, would not pass inspection at DMV. So I did some research. Again, I want not to exceed 18,000. Doesn't mean we're gonna spend the 18,000. I'm looking to get a used Ford Escape van and, with lower mileage, so that we can possibly get advantage of the warranty if possible. Sometimes those are like 60,000 miles, and we can get a fairly decent vehicle. I provided some pictures of some that I found online, not to say we're gonna use that dealer, just so we could take a look at it. I had also been in contact with one of the local dealers. He goes to auctions a lot, but again, without any funding, he can certainly look for a Ford Escape for us. However, without having funding in place, I can't have him secure a vehicle and then not be able to pay for it because the turnaround is fairly quickly. So,
I urge you got to meet Justin tonight. I urge you to tap into our public works
He's great.
resources
Yep,
as well, and
yep.
they'll certainly help you.
Absolutely.
Because more than likely, they're gonna do the service on it
Sure.
and have to
Yep.
change and
yeah, and I
tires
actually
and
noticed
things.
that you guys are getting some Ford Escapes too,
Yes,
so definitely.
yes, so, great,
Yep.
work with them. You
Yep.
think 18,000 is gonna be enough?
I do, I really do. I mean, like I said, there's some fairly decent ones on there, with fairly low miles. I mean, we can
Yeah.
get something less, a lot significantly less, but they have 80,000 miles. To me, it's not worth it. Why would I replace it then? Why would I replace what I have
No.
with 84,000
Okay.
miles? So I think 18 will be enough.
Great. Any questions for Mrs. Stevens?
Yeah, I have a question, because
Sure.
the Escapes that we're buying for the town are 24,000.
I know, I saw that.
It's a $6,000 difference, and we're talking vehicles that are 2 to 4 years older, and the
Mhm.
examples you give.
Sure.
Does it make sense to go not spend that $6,000 with potential increased maintenance costs, which I know the town does the maintenance, so
Right.
it's not a huge cost,
Yeah.
but
I'd like to
I don't
add
know.
that what we're buying are not SUVs. They're small little hatchbacks, I think, on the town side, and this is an SUV.
No, it's a Ford Escape.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Oh,
looking
the
for.
Escape's an
Yeah,
Escape?
that's all,
Escape,
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
right.
yeah. So my guess is because they're used vehicles, maybe coming off a lease, they might have more, we're not looking for, we don't need anything fancy in it, but my guess is because they're probably coming off of a lease, they might have more equipment in it. We don't need it, but we thought we'd go look at a used vehicle, because I think that's been the.
Saving 6,000 to buy
Right.
someone else's problem is your point.
That's, yeah. Who's gonna inspect the vehicles, you know,
Right,
who's gonna
right.
pass judgment that we're getting, you know, a good value for the dollars, and we're not gonna regret not investing an extra $6,000.
I'm certainly amenable to a new Ford Escape, so.
I mean, is your anticipated life 20 years like the last one?
I mean, there's not a lot of miles put on it, it's just, again,
It's around town.
it's in town.
Mhm.
It's in town, picks up the mail, I think, you know, like the fire department, delivers the payroll, senior center, so on. So we don't expect to put a lot of miles on it, so the anticipation is that it'll last a significant number of years.
So this might be coming, maybe I can, casual observation, this might be coming from the Board of Finance feedback they've given over the years of.
Correct.
Have you checked the used lot?
Correct.
You know, and I know you're eager to please and also get this thing approved because your van is limping along right now. But I concur with you, Paul. I think buying a new one for a couple $1,000s more and then not having to worry about service for 3 or 4 or 5 years on the thing, especially because of the low miles we put on it, it's
Right.
around town. It's going to have the latest safety standards and all that. I'd almost like to say, what were we going?
I think it was 24,000.
24.
for the,
24.
And I believe, there's one more old van that we're selling.
Yeah.
I think it's still, open auction, but I think we will be getting a little bit more money, to put toward it. I think right now, Anna stated we have about 2,900 that we can put toward that. And I believe there's one more, that's in the auction right now. I'm not sure when that auction closed, but we'll have a little something more to put toward it.
Is there enough room, because you're taking 15,000 from the learned rental fee budgeted line item. Is there a little more room in that to take an extra 6,000? Or is that money planned for other purposes?
No, we have it accumulated there so that when we need things like this, exactly what's happening right now, there's about, as Anna stated, 212,000 in that account. We don't, we keep it there in the event we need it for capital needs that aren't
It's good
expected.
to have that in case of an
Yep.
emergent need that's
Absolutely.
there. We could consider approving up to 24,000 and let them look at a used vehicle.
The only question is, Tim, did your board approve 18,000? Because I don't, I don't want to. Okay.
They don't need to.
Okay,
approve that.
That's a good question.
yeah, I just want to be sure that we're not going to override your board.
Yeah, what we would do is we have a meeting on this coming Monday, and we would inform the board of the suggestion.
I'd like to give you the option at the time of the sale. You guys figure it out, but I think Mr. Daigle's right. I think we should give you up to 24,000, and we could adjust where the funds are coming from. You're going to be getting them this way, but it's your money. But I think we'd like to approve you at a higher number. Let the Board of Finance also kind of hear our reasoning for that. Again,
Yeah, it'd be-
buying someone else's problem is.
It'd be 21,051 from, if we wanted to do it and take that money from the learned rental fees. Tim, are you comfortable with Mariana? I mean,
Are you guys comfortable if we change it? And then
I
you
am.
can do it whatever you want.
Yeah, you can.
Correct,
If you
okay.
find that gem, that beautiful car, that cream puff they used to
Right.
call it, and it's a used car, why not
Sure.
do it? I mean,
Well, and if you get it through the auction, and you get a good deal, vice off a used car lot, then it may be the right decision.
Yeah, and I can certainly work with Justin too. I know they're getting, I think, two, I believe I saw. Maybe if we're getting a third
Yes.
one, maybe we can
It's a
pool
state
and
bid.
have it be a little bit less,
we could
depending,
buy a
the
fleet
dealer
at that
might,
price.
be willing to
I don't
negotiate a
know if we
bit.
can do that, but-
It's a state bid price, so we could buy 100 or one at the same price, but the bottom line is we can jump in on that and quickly. The other point is we're not using taxpayer money on this.
Correct.
These are rental fees that you've charged, and now we're able to implement it. So, there is, that,
I just noticed the Ford Escape, the new
Yeah, I thought I should say 25.
Okay.
Let's go up to 25,000 and you
Okay.
can figure out
Okay.
where the money's gonna come
I'll
from.
move to approve a special appropriation
Thank
in
you.
CNRE Fund 32 to account 32-99-400-700-701 Board of Ed vehicles in the amount of $25,000 with the source of the funds as follows: $2,949 from BOE vehicle sales and $22,051 from Learn rental fees and forward to the Board of Finance for approval, and this requires a town meeting.
I'll second.
The motion's been made, it's been seconded. Any further comments?
I just,
Yes, sir.
I would hope that, so if we're going to advance the $25,000, that would only be, are you saying that might still be a used car or one that they buy at an auction? I'm not clear on that.
So it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've given us the ability to decide if we get a great vehicle with low miles and we get it for a great price, then we go with that. If not, or if it's a vehicle, again, because some of these vehicles are ranging 36 to 40,000 miles, then it perhaps might be better to go and work with Public Works and get a new Ford Escape similar to what they're getting.
My concern is, did you say that students might be driving these cars?
No, not driving, riding.
Riding in it.
They have, correct, no, not driving, riding in it. They,
Only riding in the
Correct,
cars.
yes. No, we have a driver.
One of my concerns is with the car, even if it has only a few miles on it, there have been problems with airbags in cars. And if we're going to have students even riding in a car, there's been some real issues as they discover more defective airbags. I would almost prefer that the emphasis be on a new car if we're going to go to 25,000. I would not like I don't want to deal with the risk of even a car with low miles that might have some. Maybe the front end got tapped and there's an issue with the airbag sensor and that's my feelings.
Very good point.
It's a really good point.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
We should go with your car.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're getting the warranty and you
Right.
get all
Right.
that.
And it's the latest technology.
Yeah.
The problems that they discovered have been corrected. And we're going to have students in these cars. So.
Terrific.
All right, thank
We
you.
have a motion, right? It's been seconded. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? It's good work, Board of Selectmen.
Great, thank
Good
you.
work, good reasoning. And thank you, Board of Ed, for coming out tonight.
Now I have the town meeting call.
Town meeting call.
Okay, notice is hereby given of a special town meeting of the town of East Lyme to be held on Wednesday, August 7th, 2019 at 7 p.m. in the upper meeting room at East Lyme Town Hall for the following purposes. 1, to receive communications from the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance with respect to a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the Town of East Lyme, Connecticut authorizing the execution and delivery of an equipment lease purchase agreement and schedules thereto for the acquisition, purchase, financing, and leasing of certain equipment." 2, to consider and act upon a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the Town of East Lyme, Connecticut authorizing the execution and delivery of an equipment lease purchase agreement and schedules thereto for the acquisition, purchase, financing, and leasing of certain equipment." 3, to approve a special appropriation in CNRE Fund 32 to account 32-99-400-700-701 Board of Education vehicles in the amount of $25,000 with the source of funds as follows: $2,949 from BOE vehicle sales and $22,051 from Learn rental fees. And 4, to transact any other business proper to come before the town meeting. A copy of the proposed resolution is on file and open to the public, and open to public inspection at the office of the town clerk, dated East Lyme, Connecticut, this 10th day of July, 2019, East Lyme Board of Selectmen.
Second.
That's the call. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? We have one appointment tonight, the Harbor Management Shellfish Commission, I believe.